Hi there, welcome to part 5 of the ZF transmission rebuild. You're looking at the empty case here where we've completely stripped down everything that was in there. It's ready for cleaning basically. It's very oily at the moment. We've got to be, it's got to be absolutely spotless before we can actually start to reassemble the new parts. I'm going to be showing you the rebuild sequence fairly soon, although I'm just going to show you here. This is the assembly F. Has a one-way clutch inside there, and just looking over here you can see clutches D and E and the planetary gears that supply the power to the F assembly. Also, just here in the center you can see that there's looks like a gear. It's actually a speed sensing sprocket. It has an electronic sensor that measures impulses to tell what the output speed is of the gearbox. You're looking at the output hub there. We're going to be changing the oil seal and O-ring. There's not a lot else to do on that. That's all that's necessary for rebuilding that particular part. In a sec I'll show you that there's a collection of parts that we've got here. There's a big snap ring that holds D and E assembly in, as well as a needle roller set there. That's got to be reused. There's nothing actually wrong with it, just needs cleaning. Now to move on to the original problem that I had with the gearbox, we lost the reverse gear, and that was down to this particular part. It's actually called the moulded piston in the F assembly, but in actual fact it looks like a big O-ring, but you can see that the edge on it, the outer edge, has completely disintegrated, and this I believe is one of the problems that we had when reverse gear failed. I think that was down to this particular part, and in the center of this moulded piston you can see that there's a small lump missing out of it, and I believe that that is actually also one of the reasons that it failed. I mean, obviously a loss of pressure at that point would obviously stop the thing from functioning. You can just see that if I hold it up to the light, you can just see that lump missing out of there. It's pretty bad. In a second I'll be showing you the clutchdrum-a and input shaft assembly. That is also the second problem that we had when we lost first gear, and so that's coming up in just a few seconds. I'll tell you more about that when we're on that.
I don't know if you can see this, but this is clutchdrum-a and input shaft, as you can see here, coming from the torque converter. And the damage on this, where this has failed, is just on this rim here. I don't know if you can see that. It's sort of broken off. You can see it's very springy there, and that's what's actually happened with this assembly. It's failed only because that edge has actually come off and that. But anyway, we've got a new one now, and this is it here, all wrapped up in a nice bag. This cost a lot of money actually. It was about £300, which is approximately what, 500 US dollars. So it's a lot of money, but it's well worth it because we've measured the thickness of this particular assembly, and we've noted that ZF have actually made it a few thousandths of an inch thicker in the gauge of the metal. So that would indicate that this part is stronger and improved. So I just can't wait to actually get it installed in the gearbox, but we'll wait and see what happens anyway.
Well, I'm more or less on my way now to reassembling the ZF transmission. Here is the completed D and E assembly with new clutch linings and O-rings, etc., and that's going to be lifted back in to the actual casing. Down in the bottom there you can see F assembly with the speed sensor ring. You can quite clearly see that there. If I come down here you can see it a bit clearer in there. That's the clutch assembly, which you can only turn it in one direction. It's a right-handed motion thing, you know, where you can only turn it in one direction. You can see there's an orange screwdriver that's holding out an oil tube that stops that will stop things from going actually in once we lift it into the casing. These are the clutch linings, like you'd have on a motorcycle, the disc with lining on there. They go inside here. I've replaced all of them in here. I've reused the metal steels because I don't believe that they've actually worn. You can still see the machine markings on there. So now just having a look here, you can see I'm going to lift this into the casing now. This is a special tool that we made to lift the whole thing in. You can order this part through ZF to lift it in, but we made it ourselves, so it makes it a lot easier. And just unscrew that part, and that leaves that in situ, and just checking to make sure it's actually engaged. You lift it up and down a little bit just to check, but it looks pretty much like it's in at the moment. You can, I think it's pretty well much there. We're just going to turn it around a little bit. I'm going to be unscrewing that shaft, the lifting device that we made. That just screws straight into the top. Lift that off, and then that leaves that in situ, ready for the next stage.